I clicked after you said that, though.
That's good.
It might have picked it up, though. It would be hilarious if it did.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm fine
All
with
right,
that.
we
I would love
are online.
All right. This is Andrea Yount. We are preparing for Therapy Thursday, our weekly broadcast on mental health topics. Therapy Thursday is brought to you by Affinity Counseling Services and A Lovely Pause. This is a test.
Affinity Counseling Services is located in Piggott, Arkansas, and Kennett, Missouri. We currently have 4 therapists in our office and are taking new clients. To join our sign-up sheet, visit counselingwithaffinity.com, and you can call me, Kindred, to find out more at 870-324-5122 or 573-840-0440. Thanks.
A Lovely Pause is a local nonprofit created to provide community education, awareness, coping skills, and support for those with PTSD and other trauma-related disorders. June is PTSD Awareness Month, and this month we are featuring Fear Response Worksheet. Find out what the 4 fear responses are, what their function is, and what happens when they become overused. Use our reflection section to become more aware of your fear responses in various situations. Sign up for our newsletter and stay up to date on our fundraising progress, current and upcoming events, exclusive freebies, and more. You can sign up at alovelypause.com.
This is a test. We're about to get started. Therapy Thursday normalizes discussing mental health topics in a safe, supportive environment because not being normal is normal.
Welcome, everyone, to Therapy Thursday, our weekly installment here at Affinity Counseling Services, where we talk about different mental health topics from a personal and professional perspective. My name is Matthew Yount, lead therapist and president here at Affinity.
I'm Andrea Yount. I am the co-owner, vice president of Affinity, the chair of the board of A Lovely Pause. I'll spit it out in a minute.
And I am Stacy. I am co-chair, vice chair of A Lovely Pause, and owner and chief marketer of Hive Minds Marketing.
And I am behind the camera as always.
Hi, Kindred.
Taking your comments, questions, and concerns. Kindred.
Hello,
I'm also the office manager at Affinity and the secretary of the board for A Lovely Pause.
Yeah, y'all all get your roles one day, and we just keep adding roles,
We just keep
too.
adding to them. So
That's what I was gonna say. Like, is there a certain point where we're like, we've just got too many roles to
Right.
like continue listing?
yeah, I'll just from now
We
on, I
do
think I'm
things.
just going to be like, "Hi, I'm Andrea."
Yeah.
If you want to know my credentials, then look on our website because that is you need to go there anyways, right?
Right.
And we'll have to apologize, too. Our internet's a little slow today, I think. I see that we're a little laggy here and there. But that's okay. As long as our audio gets recorded, we're good. I think
Yes.
the hospital was having trouble with it yesterday. I was having trouble with it yesterday. So,
I signed up for internet yesterday.
yeah, I wasn't even going to go into that. How much that cost? $120. I'll go into it. That's ridiculous. And we pay way more than that here just so that we can stream. But $120 just because you're a business, you need to pay more for internet. It's the exact same internet.
That's that South Park episode, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what I was thinking. I know
Yeah.
you were too, Kindred.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, too bad you can't go somewhere else.
That is how it is.
found the
We
level of the
see you
room.
guys. We see you.
Yeah, let's do this real fast. If your phone is connected to our internet, let's just go ahead and disconnect it. So we'll give ourselves a little
I
bit
don't have
more.
my phone.
All right, it's fair enough.
Jillian
but
has it.
Jillian can
It's a check mark, Jillian.
don't.
I don't know if I can explain it.
Good luck. Okay. Well, and speaking of adding roles,
Yes.
you want to tell everyone your
Well,
new
I
announcement?
think a lot of people know. I mean, when I told people, it kind of just went crazy on Facebook. I wasn't expecting that so soon, so I'm not completely ready for everything that started happening. But we put our Matt and I bought the building that Sherry Schulte used to own. I think everybody would remember that, where Sherry Schulte had her salon, and now Beauty Addiction is there. April Reeves had Beauty Addiction, and she owned the building, and Matt and I bought it from April. And the salon is going to stay. The tanning is going to stay, even though we did add a few things on the tanning end, or we changed a little things. I'm also going to be doing yoga in there. So
Yeah,
I have a
awesome.
yoga studio now. So
Yeah, so you're going to have tanning, yoga, and a salon all in the same place.
yes, and maybe eventually something else.
Yeah, your mic is high.
My mic, it sounds like I'm in a well. To
Yeah,
me.
it does. It's turned up a little much. So it's but yeah, it's the idea that you're going to have what's it called? What's the name of the place?
It's Awaken, and it's a women's self-care collective. So it's like a collective of businesses. There we go. That's
yeah,
a lot
that's
better.
Good, thank you.
It's a collective of businesses that that are together that offer services for specifically women in healthcare, not healthcare, for self-care. I'm sorry, but it's not that men can't come in there, because I know
No, they can't.
Marion cuts men's hair. April's still going to be there. She's working part-time. She cuts men's hair. It's just that we're more marketed towards women. We have more things in there for women. So
I mean,
it's
if y'all want to
that-
bring your Speedo and tan, go right
it's
ahead.
not that if you're a
but-
dude you can't join,
judgments.
but it is more directed towards women. So it's
Yeah.
a women's self-care collective.
Do we
is what
even
I'm
know
calling
the
it.
address of the place yet?
111 West Main Street.
Very good.
Yes.
Ooh, 111. That's an easier one to remember. Good. Not a hard one.
Right on the corner, guys. It's right there before you go over the railroad tracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super
I'm
cool
super
building.
excited.
Yeah.
With the blue door.
Yeah.
It won't be. I'm going to paint it. I think
What
I'm going
color?
to paint it. I'm
Purple?
not sure yet, but we've got different colors going on now, so
Yeah.
it's probably going to be painted.
Yeah. And we'll just have to apologize. The stream is laggy as can be. I'm sitting
It
here
may
watching
just be
it.
our internet watching it. It may not be. I don't know.
No,
it
it's-
did that
it's-
last week.
Did it?
Yep.
That bad?
It was not very bad last week. There was
It was like this last week, and it was fine whenever I replayed it. So
all right,
just
well-
quit worrying about it, please.
No, I'm not. If anybody, who do we use for internet here?
Sparklight.
Yeah, if anyone from Sparklight is actually watching this, can you come over and fix this, please? So, all right, let's move on then. What is our topic for today?
You have them, or I have them in front of me.
Yeah.
Living with PTSD.
Ah, okay. So we're rounding out our month here.
Yes.
On PTSD.
Living and coping with PTSD. Basically,
Well, if
is what
anybody
we're talking
knows
about.
this topic, it's us
Yes.
from different perspectives.
Yes, me from the perspective of PTSD, you from the perspective of living with someone with PTSD.
Yes. So you tell us, since the topic is living with PTSD, what stands out in your mind right away when we talk about the challenges of living with PTSD?
Is that it's something that is not going to go away.
Yeah.
It's something you are going to have to learn to live with.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to learn to have a lifestyle that I'm not saying that you can't be, that it doesn't get better. It definitely gets better, but it's never going to go away completely. Mm-hmm. And especially if you have complex trauma, it's just part of who you are at this point. And some of the things that you've gotten from trauma are just kind of part of who you are. So you have to learn how to be aware of those things and how to be able to function in normal society while having these issues. So you have to find coping skills and support groups and the things that we've talked about before. And it's really a lifestyle of learning how to live with trauma.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that tend to stay as far as like lifelong with PTSD, and what are some of the things that get better?
As I've been healing, and more recently, honestly, I've recognized that it's not so much my reactions. Not that I don't have the reactions. I'm more aware of my reactions. It's more the cycles that I can't stop. So like the cycles that my body is used to going into, like when my body is used to being depressed, it automatically wants to get depressed. And I can recognize that I'm starting to get depressed, but I can't stop the cycle.
Yeah.
So I have to do things when I recognize that the cycle is happening to make the depression lessen, or I have to vocalize, hey, I'm feeling it, depression's coming on, or my mental health is not very good, or, things like that. And talking about it and being able to use the things that I've learned to be able to cope with this what's coming up. Because if you allow it to just fall into it or you try to just pretend it's not there, then it's going to take over. So it's learning how to deal with the cycles that you're in. Because, like, for me, it could be time of year, it could be certain situations that can trigger a cycle. But a lot of times now, the situations don't trigger them as much as, like, the time of year. Like, just like what my body is used to annual, just going throughout the year, these cycles. So I have noticed that the times during when more traumatic things have happened for me, I tend to be down into a depressive episode or going into a depressive episode just naturally, just because it's the time of year that it is, if that makes sense. So that is more what I struggle with now. And like I said, it's not that I don't have those reactions, because I get into those cycles and I will have those reactions, but I can be more aware of them and control them a lot better than I can the cycle, just the natural cycle of that my body takes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what are some of the things that you recognize, though, that absolutely has gotten better?
Definitely my reactions.
Yeah.
I still sometimes, depending on the issue, have to have that first reaction, that first emotional reaction about some things that might be very personal or very triggering for me. I might have to have a little reaction, like with Matt or with Stacy or, somebody that I'm close to. I might have to have that reaction first before I can respond properly.
Right.
But I've learned how to have that reaction privately and talk it out so I can process and not respond with that triggered response. So that has helped a lot.
Right.
Not being triggered as much, because when a lot of what I would do is I was living in my own world and living inside my own head and not seeing other people's perspectives or how I was hurting other people whenever I would get triggered and then just go rawr on the people. And so I have learned a lot. That has been a lot for me. I can control myself. Just being able to control those responses.
It's like the reactiveness to the triggers has like lessened, and you've got tools that you go through to help with the reactions to not be so strong and like impulsive.
Yes, and what created that for me to be able to do that is just awareness. Like awareness is anytime anybody becomes aware of what they're going through or what they're feeling or why, or they become like, why am I like, well, that's a weird reaction, or that's an over dramatic reaction. Why am I reacting that way? Awareness is the first step. Awareness leads to you being able to be like, okay, this is why I'm doing this, or this is why I need to slow down doing this thing, or not do something, or not be around a certain situation or whatever, in order to be able to control that a little bit more and understand it a little bit more, so that you have more control over it instead of just allowing it to be like
Right.
So have you noticed any changes in like how you feel in public, or how you feel, or how much stress you're able to tolerate?
Yes, actually. And a lot of those things have come from just being more confident in myself and more confident in my ability to not react, and more confident in my ability to stand up for myself, and be more confident in my ability to protect myself, to be honest, because I have social anxiety, and it's because I'm afraid I'm going to go somewhere and somebody's going to harm me in some way, shape, or form. And it depends on where I'm at or what I'm doing. Just because, when it's happened so many times, or like people who have been through multiple traumas tend to have this thinking of, people are like, oh, well, that's that rare chance. But I have OCD related to my trauma, and my OCD says, yes, but how many times have you been that rare chance? And so then I spiral, and I'm like, oh, well, this could happen to me, and this could happen to me because I've been that rare chance, this, many times. And so my brain doesn't take that as a way to be like, oh, well, that's just rare. And for me, it doesn't matter if it's rare, because
you need to be vigilant to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Exactly. So Matt teaches martial arts, and one of the best things is I have a knife and I know how to use it. And that helps me. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I don't mind guns. What? I'm sorry.
No, what are you saying sorry about? No,
You're laughing at me.
Well, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing in general. I was like, I've just never thought about giving that type of advice to a client before. Get a weapon, learn how to use it.
I'm not
Right. I mean, or learn how to use your body as
exactly your body.
It does
Your
help.
self-defense.
I feel like
Lots
the
of
overall
women,
message is like Empower yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
self-defense.
With a
Learn how
blade.
to. If
With
you
a
don't
blade.
want to like for me, I feel like I need a weapon. I don't trust myself with guns. I'm too careless of a person for that situation. If you like, I'm not against guns. You know, you want a gun, have one. But I prefer a knife, and I know how to use, and I know how to do a little bit of martial arts, and so that does empower me a little bit.
And
I'm not
Andrea is scrappy, y'all. Like we have done some grappling, and I'll tell you what, like y'all don't mess around because she'll get you.
Something I do for social anxiety in
Yeah.
public is I will wear my earbuds. I won't turn them on so I can still hear, but it makes it where people won't talk to me.
Yes, I've done that too before.
Right.
Well, and it makes you feel a little more secure because you're
Yeah.
not worrying about people
Also, it
expecting
kind
you
of-
to do something
It kind
either.
of is
Right.
like a sound dampening tool too, so you're not so overwhelmed by all of the noise in the
Yes.
store or whatever.
Yeah. Yes.
But you can still hear things like immediately.
Yes,
next
and
to you.
that's another thing is social anxiety creates such a sensory overwhelm. I saw an article the other day. I think it was National Geographic or well, it's a maybe it was Yellowstone. I don't know. It was one of those naturey things on Facebook, and it was talking about how the animal senses and how many more senses they have, and pretty much like, wouldn't it be cool if humans had senses like animals? I was like, no, I'm already on sensory overload. I don't need any more senses to make
Oh.
me feel anything else. No.
Can you imagine if you had like the super smell capabilities and stuff like that of animals? Oh my gosh.
I can't
Like,
imagine having any
absolutely
super
not.
anything because
in
like,
Walmart.
I'm already like I can hear electricity.
I know,
don't
me
want-
too. Me too. I don't need any more sensory. Thank
No.
you. If you can hear Wi-Fi, that's good. That's too much.
Wi-Fi. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what to say to a lot of that. Y'all have superpowers and you carry weapons and you're traumatized.
Superpowers, heightened senses.
You're superheroes now. You've been traumatized. You have weapons and you have heightened senses.
A lot of neurodivergent people do consider themselves superheroes.
Yeah, no, I
like
get
they
it.
have superpowers.
I mean, there's a certain amount of like having to compensate for
Uh-huh.
like the way that the world can be triggering, and we still have to function within it, right?
Yes.
And so that's kind of what you've been talking about is like you have found the way to harness the abilities you've got to navigate it better and better all the time.
Yes.
And not only does it, help you function in regular society, but also like you have extra senses about the world around you that other people
It's
that-
hypervigilance. The
yeah.
hypervigilance creates the extra senses. So the hypervigilance is a good and a bad thing because
It's your spidey sense.
yeah, it's your everybody has that, but most people only have it like in super dangerous situations.
Right.
But people with PTSD are always hypervigilant, so they're always listening for what everybody else can't hear or being observant for what everybody else can't hear, and
Reading
they're doing that in
into
the
it too
background.
much.
Yep.
And so it's a lot of sensory overload can happen in that situation, or the opposite. So if I'm not on sensory overload, then sometimes I shut it all off, and the world can be burning down around me, and I wouldn't know it. So it's like either, and that's a coping skill. That's a dissociation. So like
Right.
that's a coping skill for turning off the hypervigilance. And so
That's a lot of what it's like living with PTSD. Now, I'll give the different perspective of what it's like living with someone who has PTSD.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom has PTSD, so I grew
Yeah.
up living with her, and you have it, so I'm familiar with it. And so the greatest thing I learned was kind of like with working with animals, especially like horses, no sudden movements. Nothing that is like going to catch anybody off guard. Nothing that's going to do anything to get
How-
an immediate response.
Yeah.
How many times have you scared me walking into the office? Because you don't step loud enough and I don't hear you coming.
And I don't know how you think I don't step loud enough.
Well, sometimes I am hyper focused on working.
Yeah, sure.
let's not get confused.
I can put
either,
a bell around my neck if
because
you
it's
prefer.
not just physically. It's not just a physical.
No.
Step lightly. Don't make sudden movements.
Yeah.
It's emotionally. Yes.
Yeah, I'm using that as
Jillian
the
has her hand
metaphor.
up.
Yes, Jillian.
I saw a clip of the court session with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
His lawyer
Yeah. Trigger a response from him. Yeah. So, and that can happen too when people have been traumatized. So, in case y'all didn't hear that, she was talking about in the Johnny Depp trial that they were handing the coffee around him and not over his shoulder, because sneaking up behind somebody and surprising
Get
someone.
punched or knifed.
Yeah, you get stuck real quick. But it is one thing you don't want to startle people who have PTSD, because especially in a hypervigilant state, or even if they were in a dissociative state and you take them out of that, they have a heightened startle response. So,
And that's not, and I'm not saying it's not on a daily basis, but it's more like, okay, like Johnny Depp. He was in a high anxiety situation right there. Any kind of sudden movements would have startled him.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, not that you don't need to be, if you know someone with PTSD or whatever, they're not dangerous.
Not usually.
Because I said you get knifed. It was a joke. I mean,
Kind of a joke.
yeah.
You've never been charged in court.
Right.
You're good.
So I'm just saying, like they're not dangerous. They're just hypervigilant.
Yes, they're just very aware. Now, in worst case scenarios, there have been circumstances where people who have come back from terrible situations in war or serious abuse are like wake up out of their sleep and like hurting somebody because in their dreams they were having a response, but that's very rare.
And that's why we need to get on board with the ACE assessment, the ACEs assessment, like we talked about last week, the adverse childhood experiences, or just even not childhood. I mean, you need it for adults too, because then you can see where somebody's ACE score is at and what kind of help they need and what level they are on as far as,
Yeah, the type of traumas they've
yes.
had and how deep into the PTSD symptoms they are.
Yes.
So you've got that. That's one of the things that I recognize is just trying not to make anything sudden. You don't want to trigger responses. You don't want to like just throw loud noises out there or do things like just change the mood really fast for any reason. You definitely
Change plans.
You got to
that's
be
really OCD. But.
You got to work on with you being very clear in communication.
Yes.
Because you tend to read into things.
Yes.
Especially if you're already in a hypervigilant state. You're already looking for
whatever is going on in my head is going to play into whatever you say.
You're projecting a
Yes.
lot.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we have to be very clear about communication. But in that, we're not afraid to argue. I'll argue with you, and sometimes pretty passionately. But especially if you're in one of those states, because sometimes when you're already angry, it's like, okay, I'm already frustrated too, and so we start arguing with each other. Then we realize, okay, this is getting nowhere, and we have to readjust how we respond.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm not scared of like having a conversation with you. It's just that I know if we're going to have a conversation, I need to be clear, and what I need to be watching for is signs that you're starting to take it the wrong way or personal and not the way that it was intended to be taken.
Because even if I know, even if I know what you mean, if it triggers me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure.
And that's something I think people don't understand a lot about PTSD. It doesn't matter if I know what I should be doing. It doesn't matter if he says something and it offends some trigger in me, and I know he didn't mean it that way. It's still going to trigger me. It still creates that trigger, and that's why I said, what I feel like has changed the most for me is that response, because you're still feeling that trigger. So you have to respond to that trigger. And that's why I said, depending on what triggers me, how deep of a hurt or pain it is for me, I still need to get that first response out. And so, but sometimes I don't have to. I just recognize, okay, you're triggered. You don't have to say what you want to say, or you don't have to share your perspective in this situation, because it doesn't matter, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
sometimes when you get triggered and what you should, like you were saying, sometimes what you should be doing, that almost makes it worse, because you're like, I can't control it. I know, and that makes it worse.
Yes, it makes you feel out of control. It adds to the anxiety. It feels like you're stuck inside your body and you can't. A lot of times, mostly for me,
it feels
either,
like you're trapped.
Yes,
here.
It feels like I'm angry, or when I'm angry, or when I'm depressed, going into a depressive episode, is when I mostly feel like I'm trapped inside, like my body and everything's reacting without my permission. And that is horrible feeling.
Yeah.
I hate feeling like I have no control over my reactions and myself. And And it does feel like that. Anger and depression really a lot of times will get me in that state, and I don't like it at all.
So that's the other thing about it too. I think from that perspective of living with someone who has it is paying attention to what's going on, learning that person's warning signs that they are beginning to spiral or they are having a hard time, or if it's just a moderately hard day, and then figuring out what their triggers are, how to help them calm down, relax, respond. Because a lot of what you're doing in these circumstances is you're trying to work on helping somebody's body calm down. PTSD, while it absolutely affects the mind, it more so affects the body. And so there's a heavy body response to PTSD, and teaching somebody how to calm their body is a great way to help them get the reactions of PTSD more under control.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
And so yoga is really good for that. Any type of somatic experience that I really like, and it relates to stuff we talked about. It relates to REM sleep, EMDR, moving your eyes back and forth, just sitting here and looking one side or the other. Oh my goodness, that helps me so much sometimes.
Yeah.
Just relieving the tension in my eyes, I guess. I don't know, but just those somatic experiencing, releasing your jaw, lowering your shoulders, moving your eyes back and forth, taking a couple of deep breaths. Those things can just totally calm you almost immediately. And I had to use those a lot, and I teach those a lot.
Yeah. And so that might be a good thing to invest in one day, is one of those EMDR lights that you can just kind of follow along yourself.
Might be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll get one eventually. Right now, I'm just using my hands, because they're like a couple $100. But eventually, we'll end
Can
up
you
getting
not
one of
just
those.
get like some fun party lights? Like follow the light, follow the light.
We're therapy.
Some black lights going.
I mean, EMD,
EDM, EMDR.
EMDR room. That would be so cool.
That is my type of therapy, guys.
Yes.
I'm into it.
Follow the glow stick. Follow the glow stick.
Oh man.
Yeah, get glow sticks. You don't need fancy lights.
Perfect. Well,
One
yeah, go ahead.
one thing that after the EMDR, I'm gonna throw in one thing that I was going to say before we started talking about that, is that my faith helps me a lot. Being able to know that I'm working towards something that I feel like is my purpose, knowing that I'm working towards a greater good, knowing that, and in my faith, I believe that Jesus taught us to love other people and to help other people, and to be able to love other people and help other people. We have to get down in the ashes with them. We have to be able to not worry about our triggers, not worry about our own perspective, and see things from their point of view, so that we can love them in the way that they need to be loved at the moment. And that requires humbling yourself a lot.
And controlling yourself.
A lot. And it has helped a lot with my PTSD. And I love helping people, because I know how much, like everything that I do in my coping skills, I know how much it helps me. So I like helping other people and showing them that there is this other side to this. You don't have to always feel so alone and scared and everything, and overwhelmed. And so I like helping people, but it helps me just as much as it helps other people. And it's just amazing. And so that's one of the biggest things that has helped me, is being able to inspire and be inspired, and to be able to, make myself feel like to feel that much closer to my faith and to Jesus and that kind of stuff. So that's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, sure. No, faith is a very important part of any type of practice in helping yourself to overcome some of the challenges that you have with mental health issues. You need something to strive for, and you need something to believe in, and it really helps a lot if you've got those things. So,
well, and having a purpose gives you direction, and it just makes you feel more connected.
yeah, which is part of the reason why you started the yoga thing you did.
Yes.
And that's, I think this is something we've talked about a lot too, like getting in the ashes with people. Our traumas and the things that are hurts that we carry, when you start healing them, you're able to relate to people that have had those experiences in ways that resonates a lot of times a lot deeper
Yes.
than people that haven't had those similar experiences. So it in fact does become a superpower when you start healing yourself.
Exactly.
And you are doing it beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it's because
Yay
I'm
for all of you.
surrounded by good healing energy definitely helps, and good supportive people. And if you're looking for good supportive people,
We're here to help. Thank you. I was going to have to
Segue.
make that transition anyway. You can contact us at Affinity Counseling Services, AFFINITY, on Facebook, or you can reach out to us by phone. In Arkansas, it's 870-324-5122, and in Missouri, it is 573-840-0440, or you can just always go to counselingwithaffinity.com.
And A Lovely Pause has a great, we're trying to build our volunteer program right now. And that's what we want to do is we want to create support, peer support, and inspire and be inspired. So if you want to us at A Lovely Pause, you can go to alovelypause, PAUSE.com.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Next week, we'll be starting off a new topic for the month.
Yes.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Communication.
Yeah, it's
All
going to be a
right.
good one.
Well, our first effort in improving our communication will be getting our internet fixed. So, Kindred, I'm going to give that job to you. Thank you
love
very
it.
much.
How's she going to do it?
She's going
I'm
to.
going to call them and they're going to go, oh, too bad you can't go somewhere else.
And on that note, we're out. Thank you.
Bye.